In the Catholic understanding of Scripture, the idea of covenant is central to the entire story of salvation. From the earliest pages of the Bible to the life and mission of Jesus Christ, God reveals himself through covenant's sacred promises that establish a deep relationship between God and his people. Understanding God's covenant is not just a theological concept. It has the power to transform a person's life forever. A contract is usually based on mutual benefit and can be broken when one side fails. A covenant, however, is a sacred bond sealed by God himself. It is rooted in love, faithfulness, and commitment. In the Catholic tradition, covenants show that God desires not merely obedience from humanity, but a personal relationship with us. God establishes a covenant with all creation, promising never again to destroy the earth with a flood. The rainbow becomes the sign of this covenant. This moment reveals something essential about God's character. He is faithful and merciful, even when humanity has failed. Later, God forms another covenant with Abraham. God promises that Abraham will become the father of many nations, and that through his descendants, the world will be blessed. Abraham's response is faith. Even when the promise seems impossible because of his old age and the long wait for a child Abraham, his covenant shows that when people trust God's promises, their lives are guided by hope rather than fear. The covenant continues with Moses and the people of Israel. After freeing them from slavery in Egypt, God gives the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai. This covenant establishes Israel as God's chosen people. The law is not meant to restrict life, but to guide people toward holiness and justice. Through this covenant, God teaches that true freedom comes from living according to his will. Yet the Old Testament also shows that humanity often struggles to remain faithful. Time after time, the people break the covenant through sin and disobedience. Instead, he prepares the world for a new and everlasting covenant. This new covenant is fulfilled in Jesus Christ. For Catholics, Jesus is the ultimate revelation of God's love. At the Last Supper, Jesus speaks words that echo through the centuries. This is the cup of my blood, the blood of the new and eternal covenant, through his sacrifice on the cross. Jesus establishes a covenant that is not written on stone tablets, but on the hearts of believers. This covenant changes everything because it opens the path to salvation for all people. Through Christ, humanity is reconciled with God. Sin no longer has the final word. Instead, grace, forgiveness, and new life become available to anyone who believes. In Catholic life, the covenant is experienced through the sacraments. Baptism welcomes a person into God's covenant family, the Church. The Eucharist renews that covenant every time believers receive the body and blood of Christ. Each Mass is a reminder that God's promise is still alive and active today. When a person truly understands God's covenant, it changes the way they see life. They begin to realize that they are not alone in the world. God is not distant or indifferent. He is personally committed to them. This awareness brings deep peace and confidence. Because God has shown faithfulness, believers are invited to respond with faithfulness of their own. This means living with love, practicing forgiveness, seeking justice, and trusting God even in difficult moments. Furthermore, the covenant reminds Christians that their lives have a greater purpose. They are part of a story that began thousands of years ago and continues today. Each believer is invited to participate in God's plan to bring love and redemption to the world. Ultimately, God's covenant can change a life forever because it reveals the truth about who God is and who we are meant to be. God is a loving Father who keeps his promises, and we are his children, called to live in relationship with him. When someone embraces this truth with faith, their life begins to transform. Fear is replaced with hope. Isolation is replaced with belonging. An ordinary life becomes part of a sacred journey with God. In this way, God's covenant is not just a theme in the Bible, it is an invitation to a new life. A life rooted in faith, love, and eternal hope.